Hi, it's Lisa. Today we're going to take this box and really transform it. This is a box that my contacts come in, and these boxes are always really good quality. So I've got out some gesso, some Mod Podge, some book paper, and I have these jelly prints. And I'm not going to actually make jelly prints during this video. I've done a lot of other videos on the jelly prints, but these were just done on tissue paper using the 6-inch round jelly plate. So I'm just trimming off the top flaps of the box. And there's one here where I cut it a little crooked, but we'll deal with that later on. We get enough stuff on it, you'll never know that it wasn't a perfect cut. And I'm trimming off a little bit extra with my craft and rubber scissors from Stampin' Up. These are very similar to those Tim Holtz scissors. They'll cut through real thick things. I'm also going to take an emery board and kind of file down the edges. That'll smooth it down a little bit. You could use sandpaper. I just like having the emery board in my craft room. I use an old one because I typically don't use that brown side of it so much with my nails. Alright, so let's take some gesso and cover up some of the words. They probably wouldn't show through by the time I get everything on there, but I don't want to take that chance. So I'm only going to do one layer of gesso, so it's not going to completely cover everything, but it'll get most of the stuff. And there's not a lot here to cover. You could use this technique with any box that you wanted. And I'm going to use the box to store some stuff in my craft room. And I'm starting on the inside, applying Mod Podge to the inside and the outside of one of the sides, and then put the Mod Podge on the book paper. This is book paper from an old law book that I bought at an antique store for $1. And then we'll just wrap the rest of that around the bottom. And cover the whole thing again with Mod Podge, and then we'll do a little strip for the side as well, or for the rest of that side. At this point in the process, I'm not sure how much of that book paper is going to show through my jelly prints because they've got a lot of paint on them. But I do find when I get this done that quite a bit of the text shows through in terms of just being able to see that there's text there. So it was kind of a nice addition to have that on the bottom. I just love book paper. It's one of my favorite things to work with. I'm doing each side and the end, and then taking some of the leftovers and filling out the rest of the sides. And I think I also have a piece of paper here from a geographic dictionary. I didn't know there was such a thing until I found one of those books at an antique store. It has like every city, every place in the world, and where it is, and it's just kind of an interesting little bit of book paper, and it's sort of thin like dictionary paper is, so it's real pliable. Alright, now we're ready to start playing with the jelly prints. And what I did was, any of them that weren't already cut in circles, I went ahead and cut them out of circles. They're not perfect circles. It's not going to matter because they're going to get overlapped with lots of different layers, but you'll still see that kind of circular design. And this was, these jelly prints were done on regular old wrapping tissue paper that I buy at the dollar store. I started on the bottom and kind of worked my way up the sides, and I'm just folding over the edges because since it's tissue paper, you know, it's not very thick. And then it's time to do some of the sides. And go ahead and bring this down on the inside. And initially I just had the jelly prints to come just down on the inside of the box and not that far down in there. I didn't add another layer, but I went back before I completed the box and added like half of a circle going around the inside so that it was completely covered all but the very bottom in jelly plate prints, because you never know when you might see on the inside. And I just started with the bottom because it was easy to do. You of course wouldn't have to cover the bottom of the box. If it were a really big box, I probably wouldn't have worried about the bottom. And here's the other side. And this doesn't really take that long. The video is at 3 times speed, so it goes pretty quickly to cover all of this. And of course the tissue paper is very pliable, so it works really well. Okay, you can see most of the box there, and we'll look at some close-ups of this at the end, slow it down a little bit. I think I found there was maybe one more area where I needed just a little bit more jelly print, something that I hadn't covered. And all that Mod Podge really makes the box even sturdier. Now I'm kind of propping that up on a couple of containers there to let it dry good. And then I decided that I didn't think I filmed this, but I did, put kind of half circles in there to finish off the inside, so that you would, when you look down in there, you'd be able to know that it was completed. I'm also going to put a piece of paper on the inside of the box to cover the bottom. And we're going to use a regular jelly print for that was printed on plain white cardstock. And I'm looking for a jelly print that I want to use, and I found one, and I measured my box, and then I went over to my paper trimmer and trimmed this down. I got it a little bit narrow, but I don't think, again, it's just on the offhand chance that you see inside the box, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. But it was just some extra printing that I had on regular white paper. So we get those same colors. And now I want to add a little decoration to the box. This is some twill tape. It was an old product of Stampin' Up's, but you can buy twill tape at the fabric store. And I'm stamping it with archival ink, which will work on lots of surfaces. And then just Mod Podging this around the box. And since I'm going all the way around it, I wanted something fairly flat so that the box would continue to sit flat. And I pulled out some other things to play with. I had this little metal piece. I have this bag of kind of extra stuff in my drawer where I just have maybe one of something left, and there was one of this canvas flower, and I ended up cutting that out, and I misted it with some purple mist, and that's part of my flower. So here's my box all finished. Went ahead and put that library label there on the end, that metal label, so I can put something to indicate what this is for. And you'll see from some of the pictures that I might put some of my craft supplies in there. I didn't end up putting the Mod Podge and stuff in there like I thought, but I did put some other craft supplies, and it makes a really decorative addition to my room. And it doesn't take anything but an empty box and some of your papers and jelly prints to finish it up. So thank you so much for joining me today.